Hello, this is Christian Bracchia from Gunks Apps, and this is going to be a Gunks Apps author tutorial. So before we get started, I'm just going to talk about the hierarchy that's involved within the app. So if we take a look at what you will see when you first open up the author app, there's going to be some boilerplate placeholders in here. And if you already have an area that has established stuff in it and you're editing, you're going to see all of that in there. I'm going to show you some examples of that. But for right now, let's look at how the hierarchy works. The top level of the hierarchy would be the map here. This is set to be a note. It really could be set to be anything, but it's set as a note. And that note is the top level, so we call this the parent. Now, nested within the parent is the child, which is the landmark. Now, this could be a sector, this could be a parking lot, this could be a larger area that contains boulders, but we call this a landmark. The landmark is the child of the map. The landmark becomes the parent of the area, and the area is the parent to the roots. So just a little thing to be careful here. If you delete the parent, the children also get deleted. So for example, if I went into this area and I click these up-down arrows, that gives me the option to delete. If I delete the area, I would also delete the roots along with it. Okay, let's look at a graphic of the parent-child hierarchy of Manhattan on the Rocks. Manhattan on the Rocks is a bouldering area. The top level hierarchy, our note overview map, is the parent. And then the children are going to be the landmarks. So what landmarks do we have here? Central Park South and Center, Morningside Park, Central Park North Woods. These could also be parking areas if your climbing area has different parking lots. Okay, so we have the parent and the children, but what are the parents and children's of these landmarks? Well, I made a little graphic here for that. If we look at the landmarks as parents, then the children are the areas. So Central Park South and Center has two children, Rat Rock North Face and Chess Rock. Morningside Park is the parent to Bleacher Rock. Central Park North Woods is the parent to Lascar Rock and Worthless Boulder. Well, what are the areas parents of? Well, the areas are parents to the actual problems or roots. So for example, Rat Rock North Face has children which are Rat Rock Traverse, High Traverse, and Low Traverse. So now that you understand the idea of the hierarchy, we can kind of come in here and start to edit and build out this app. So what we're going to do is we're going to recreate Rumney roots. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in here to map and edit. And we just use the little pencil tool here. And it says map. I'm going to change that to overview map. And when I click the check button, that automatically saves it. Come back here. Now my top level in the hierarchy is overview map, and the child of the overview map is this landmark. So I'm going to come in here, and the way that the Rumney author set this up is they called this Zone 1. They decided to call them zones. You can call it whatever you want, whatever makes sense. Zone 1, and they called this new lot because it was a new parking lot that just is called new lot. Now, if I'm standing in the parking lot with my phone running the author app, I could click this Get GPS button, and that would record the GPS of the parking lot. I can also go into the description and write some directions of how to find the parking lot and maybe some rules about parking and what you should and shouldn't do. If you have the app open, then you'll have two options here. You'll have File, but you'll also have the camera and a gallery button, which will enable you to choose from the gallery on your phone. But this is the web version, so we can only upload files. Okay, so we're happy with that new lot. We come back here, and we have the overview map, the new lot. What areas are there in new lot? Well, let's go ahead and edit that. This is an area, and the first area is called the Buffalo Pit. That's the first area that is accessed from the new lot. Okay, so what are the children of Buffalo Pit? Just to go back over, this is a note, a landmark, an area, and now we have roots. Whether it's a boulder problem or a climbing route, we're just going to call that a route. So let's go into this route and let's make some edits to the route. Okay, the number. This is the first climb going from left to right. So we're going to call that route number 1. And we're not going to call it route 1. We're going to call it Sodbuster because that's the name of the route. And Sodbuster is a 10A. We can give it some stars. And we can also choose whether it's a boulder problem, sport, trad, top rope, or aid. It's a sport route, so we're going to leave that selected as sport. The protection I'm going to leave alone because it's a bolted route. We could add that there are how many bolts are in it. I'm going to leave that blank. We could add the height. We can also write the first ascent information, the date, and who climbed it first. And then we can write the description of the route. That's all sort of self-explanatory. But what I want to do here is now draw the line. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, if I click on File, I can go and locate the picture I already took of Sodbuster. So I'm going to open that picture up, and it takes just a second to load here. So it's loading the picture, and then we'll be able to draw. Okay, so here's my picture. Now, this is a little tricky. Whether you're on the phone app or whether you're on a computer, the first click or the first tap is going to drop the circle of the start of the route. So let's say the route starts over here. I'm going to click or tap here, and that's going to drop a number 1, which means route 1. My second click is going to be where the line goes. So I'm going to do a click here. Maybe it follows this feature, rides up this rail, and then maybe it hooks back left. I'm clicking or tapping along the way, and then I get to an anchor. Now, if I want to do a lower off anchor, like a rappel icon or lower off, I can click and put that on there. What if I made a mistake and drew the line incorrectly? I can activate the delete function and click on the dot, on the circle. If I click on the circle, that's going to delete the line as well. If I click on the rappel icon, it's going to delete that as well. I deactivate delete, and the next time I click, it's going to give me the number 1 circle again, and I can draw my line however the climb goes. This time I'm going to use this symbol, which means there's no rappel station. That's just either a fixed belay or a belay that you need to build. When I'm done with that, I'm going to click the check mark, and now my line has been saved, and I have the information on Sodbuster, and I can go back to my main list. Okay, let's go and add another route in here. So the process is going to be the same. I'm going to go up here and edit. Now notice that it's set as a route, which makes sense, but it's also set as a boulder problem, which I need to change. Let's make this a trad route. Make this a trad route. It's number 2, so it's the second climb. And my rating, let's say this is 5.8. And I can go add all the other information. I can go and get the name of the route from my file, something fishy. I did not put the name of the route in. It's loading the photo. It's just taking a second to upload the photo. I'll wait. And the photo's loaded. Again, I can click on the screen, draw my line, add my rappel icon, and I'm done. Notice this time that I chose a trad route, so there's two thin lines instead of one solid line, letting the climber know that it's a trad route. I'm going to change this route 2 to something fishy for the name of the route. I'm going to click this to save. Okay, so you get the general idea of how to do this, but what happens when you want to put two lines on the same photo? It's a little tricky to do. I'll show you how to do it. So let's go ahead and add a new route. Now, you'll notice we don't have anything in here. So how are we going to add new children? Well, these routes are children of the area Buffalo Pit. So I need to go into Buffalo Pit and add a child by clicking the plus sign. So the name of this next route is going to be Tatanka. And Tatanka is the third route. And I'm going to give that a grade of 511A. We'll make that a sport route. We'll give it 3 stars. And we are going to add the photo. So the photo is the photo of Tatanka. I'm going to open that up, let that load. Now I'm going to draw the line of Tatanka. So I click, that gives me a 3. I draw the line. And up to the chains, add my repel symbol, click check, and I'm done. Okay, how do I add a new route that has a line on the same photo? Okay, we're going to show you how to do that. The next route is called Psych Ward. It's a route, it's a sport route, it's number 4, it's 513A. And what I'm going to do is, instead of uploading a new picture, I'm going to go to last. What that's going to do is go to the last photo I edited. But what's different this time is that when I click on the screen, it's going to give me number 4 for Psych Ward. So number 3 is already there. I add 4, and now I can draw the route line for Psych Ward and put its repel symbol in. And now when I click save, I have Psych Ward and Tatanka both having the same climbs on the same photo. Okay, what happens if somebody puts up a new route or a new boulder problem and it's somewhere in the middle of these that I already have? So let's say you develop the app, you already have it up and running, and you want to add a new route. Okay, so I'm going to add a new route. Let's call this middle line. So somebody put up a middle line, and it's a new hard route that somebody established, 514C. Okay, so I'm not going to draw the picture. You know how to do that. Now, I've got a problem here, because middle line is supposed to be between something fishy and Tatanka. So what I'm going to do is use the up and down arrows to bring up these little horizontal lines. And then now I can grab middle line and move it to the position that I want it to be in. So that was pretty easy, but I have a new problem. Now my numbering is screwed up. It goes 1, 2, 5, 3, 4. Now I could go in and edit each of these, but there's a cool little function down here, the number sign. What the number sign does is reorder the numbers in order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I click this number, it's going to ask me if I really want to renumber the children. So I click renumber. Now middle line becomes 3 and everything's good. Okay, so when you are done doing work, make sure you click the upload button. I'm not going to do that here because I don't want to save this work. If you are out in the field and you don't have cell service, you can click this button when you get home, or if you're out in the field, you can hit this button every time you add some work. It's kind of like a save button, making sure it's saved to our server. Okay, so now we have this, but what if we want a new area? Well, a new area would be a child of the landmark of Zone 1. So Zone 1 is a parking lot that accesses Buffalo Pit, but it also accesses Buffalo Corral. So I'm going to come in here and add a new area. Notice it's an area, and the name of this new area is Buffalo Corral. Okay, if I come back here, now I can see Zone 1 is the parent. Buffalo Pit and Buffalo Corral are children of this. And Buffalo Pit has climbs in it, but how do I add a climb to Buffalo Corral? Well, we need a child of Buffalo Corral, so I come into Buffalo Corral and I type the new route name. Let's call it Wings, and you can add some grades, 5.9, and it's a sport route, and I'm good to go. I didn't add a number. Let's go back in there and add a number. That's going to be the first climb, so I'm going to name that number 1. Okay, so now I come back to the main menu, and I can see I added Wings. But what if I have a new landmark? What if I have another parking lot? Well, that's going to be a child of the overview map. So I'm going to go into overview map, add this, and I'm going to say zone 2, and this is going to be the old parking lot. So I'm going to call that old lot. It's a landmark. And now if I go back to my main menu, I have old lot, and I can add areas to old lot, and in the areas I can add routes or problems.